Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Summer is almost over, and that means it's time to start thinking about next boating season. Maybe you want a boat, but you still aren't ready to buy a brand new boat. Well, no one offers a better selection of warranty-backed pre-owned boats than Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat, folks, new or pre-owned. Get down to Highway 411 North in Madisonville or check them out, madmarine.com. Madisonville Marine, they've been doing it for 45 years. They'll be doing it for 45 more. Okay, guys, we have two segments to play with here, and I want to pick the top 10 Vols of the past decade. Now, hang with me here for a second. What I was going to do was create a candidate list based on, of the last 10 years, Tennessee's All-Americans, I knew that would be a short list, and their first-team All-SEC players. The problem is, that's only 9 guys. That's it. So, that would make it be hard to make a top 10 list. So I went ahead and I threw in anyone that was drafted. I threw in anyone that was second or third team All-SEC. That wound up with 35 names. Let's go over to the YP board where Chuck Cavaleris isn't here today. So Ryan Callahan, he's trying out for the job.
You're stuck with me.
This could be the end of Chucky's casino if you do well. But we got 35 guys up there. You can see the names. If you see 2 asterisks in red over there beside them, like Derek Barnett, that means he was All-American and first-team SEC, All-SEC. If you see just 1 asterisk, like Evan Berry right beneath him as a kick returner, he was first-team All-SEC. All these other guys, they weren't first-team All-SEC. They weren't All-American. But you had some guys who had tremendous talent. What we're doing, though, we talked about this before the show, we're going to base this on accomplishments at Tennessee. So what you've done in the pros doesn't bounce you out there. You can't just look at it and say, oh, he was the best player I saw. We're looking at accomplishments at Tennessee over the last 10 years to see who the best 10 players are. All right, so is Derek Barnett obviously on the list? Let's do 5
Barnett
in this
is
segment.
obviously on the list, and I think he's obviously number 1.
Is he number 1? Is he the best player of the last decade?
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody agree?
Yes.
I think so. We're
right,
going and circling him?
Yeah, just put a gold circle around Derek Barnett. Okay, there we go. Now it gets fun.
Yeah.
Who's your next obvious guy in terms of what they contributed at Tennessee?
I am going to go with Josh Dobbs. I think Josh Dobbs is still underappreciated for how good he was. He's had a decent NFL career as a backup, which I think has been a little bit surprising. And plus, he was such a wonderful representative for your program. All of that stuff, what he did on the field while he's here, Josh Dobbs would be right behind Derek Barnett to me.
Okay, so Bob goes Josh Dobbs. Let's keep it on Dobbs. Is everyone agreed that Dobbs is in?
Yes.
He's in the top 10? All right, thoughts on Dobbs?
Yeah, second in career in total yards, and he was very close to eclipsing Peyton Manning's total there by just a few yards in that final game. I mean, led the team in rushing one year, saved the Butch Jones's backside on many of occasion. Yes. Just so many things that he accomplished, and it wasn't the prettiest in terms of NFL quarterback and traditional style. He just made plays, and he masked some of their other issues and accumulated a whole lot of stats. So I think it's Josh Dobbs.
Terrific college quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think he's the second best player that's up there on the board, but he's a really good player on the board, and he has a win against Florida. Not many players
at Tennessee
have one, especially recently. And then the intangibles, the representation off the field. Yeah.
Ryan, you agree with Josh Dobbs being in your top 10?
I agree. It's hard to not have Dobbs in there. He meant too much to the program during his time there and was a key to their most successful years of the past decade when you look back on it. So, absolutely.
Okay, so let's go ahead and circle Dobbs. And Vince, I'll let you pick next. We'll see if everyone agrees with your next choice for a top 10 player.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm going to say Cameron Sutton. I think Cameron Sutton was so good as a cornerback. He also is the all-time Tennessee leader in career punt return average and was an All-American punt returner. It was a crazy year, the year that Sutton and Evan Berry both led the nation in returns, one in kickoff and one in punt. But I think for him to have that kind of special return ability with a couple of punt return touchdowns, the average, and then to be so good as good a corner as Tennessee's had in a long time, I think the overall package as a college player, it's Cameron Sutton.
Cam Sutton, guys, is he in your top 10?
He is definitely in my top 10. I don't quite have him that high.
Well, we're not thinking third, fourth, or anything.
Okay, then Cam Sutton's definitely there. Yeah, definitely there.
Josh?
Yeah, he's kind of borderline to me, not because of his own fault, because of the injury he suffered his senior year when he would have made the biggest impact. But I'm perfectly fine with Cam Sutton being in the top 10. He's a really good player, but he was borderline for me.
Yeah, he wasn't one of the immediate names. He wouldn't have, as Bob said, he wouldn't have been my third. I don't guess you're saying top 3, but he wouldn't have been the third name in my mind. Ryan, are you good with Cam Sutton?
I am. I think he's a lower half of the top 10 guy for me. I wouldn't have him top 5 if this list was kept to 5, but I think he definitely makes the list. As Vince said, good returner, good cornerback, high draft pick based on his college career. I think there's a lot to like there.
Okay, so Cam Sutton makes the list. Josh, who are you going to convince everybody to put on this thing?
Well, I think I can sell a spot to Trey Smith, so I'll take him off the board. Immediate impact. You go back to 2017 disaster of a season, you can find one All-SEC guy, and it was him. And did he reach his full potential as a player? I don't know about that, but he was a consistent player. He overcame so much, great representative, and he was still a really good player. So Trey Smith.
I don't know that he lived up to the hype that surrounded him his first year when he was so good, but part of that isn't his fault due to the obstacles he faced off the field.
And I think coaching.
Certainly. So, yeah, he's definitely in my top 10. He'd be in the top 5.
Yes.
But he wouldn't be 1 or 2, but he'd be in the top 5. Vince?
Yeah, no question. And I think it's unfortunate that we didn't get a chance to see him at his full potential because he had the ability to maybe be number 1. That's how good his talent was and him overcoming everything. And absolutely, he's right up there.
Ryan, while you circle him on the board, because I'm guessing you agree, give me your thoughts on Trey Smith.
Yeah, no question. He's on this list for me. You could make an argument for another offensive lineman or 2 on this list, but he's as talented as any of these guys. And if he had continued his progression, which obviously his medical issues prevented him from maybe doing that, if he had continued his progression from his freshman year, we'd be talking about him maybe being the best offensive lineman in Tennessee history. He was that good as a freshman. So I think you absolutely put him on this list, top 10 for sure.
That's 4 on the board. We've got 6 more to go. Derek Barnett, Josh Dobbs, Trey Smith, Cam Sutton. Okay, those are your first 4. Top 10 of the last decade. We'll continue this list next. Coming back on the Sports Source.